All praises to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, Yahayasha, Messiah, Yadahaya. This is Brother Holly with the second Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of Ahaya channel on this set apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, like to give all glory, praise, and honor to the great I am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, Yadahaya, and to his son, Yahayasha, Messiah, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life is in him, Yadahaya. Now, in the second broadcast, we're going to get right to it. Not a whole lot of time embellishment is necessary. We're going to look at the old covenant, the new covenant, and we're going to look at the rededication of the temple found in 1 Kings to see that we will call back to the covenant that was made in the wilderness, that was made between Ahaya and his people, the children of YASHARAHLA in the wilderness. We will call back to that covenant in 1 Kings at the rededication of the temple, and that is the new covenant that was made mention of both in the book of Jeremiah, which we'll read, the new covenant in Jeremiah, as well as the new covenant found in the book of Hebrews. And we will slightly and lightly touch on that Messiah Yahayasha's blood is the blood of the new covenant for the remission of sins. Key point to remember, children, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission. So for the new covenant to have redemptive power to redeem man, to redeem a person from their sins, if it can handle sin, it's got to have blood, and the blood of the new covenant is Messiah, and that blood was shed for the children of YASHARAHLA. We could just wrap it up right then, but we're not. All praise. We'll be reading from the Learn Paley Hebrew Torah, Lashwan Kodash Holy Tongue, YASHARAHLA Bible Scriptures, and turn, if you would, to Exodus chapter 24. Let's start reading at verse 1. Exodus 24, verse 1. And he said unto Moshe, or Moses, come up unto Ahai, thou and Aaron, Nabab and Abdu, and 70 of the elders of YASHARAHLA, and worship ye afar off. And Moshe alone shall come near Ahai, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Ahai, and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice, and said, all the words which Ahai hath said we will do. Will you highlight? Now, just a little backdrop here in Exodus 24, the children of YASHARAHLA are all together, all 12 tribes together, and they're in the wilderness. They've left Egypt. They left Egypt as a group. They're in the wilderness as a group. There's no division yet between the two houses. And both houses are one under one leader at the time. At this time, it's Moses. But as we will see going forward, leadership will change, and it was finally broken into two houses during the time of Solomon. But before it was broken up, he brought us back under the covenant one more time at the dedication of the temple. We'll read it in a moment, but this is the beginning of the establishment of the first covenant. This is the first covenant in blood for the children of YASHARAHLA. Let's keep reading. Let's read it again. Exodus 24 and 3. And Moses came and took the people and told the people all the words of Ahai and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Ahai hath said we will do. And Moses wrote all the words of Ahai, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of YASHARAHLA will you highlight. If you had any doubt who this sacrifice was for, or who this covenant is for, because without the shedding of blood, there's no remission. He's building an altar. They're going to make a sacrifice. Then there's no doubt. he made, the altar he made 12 pillars, one pillar for each tribe of YASHARAHLA. That would be 12 pillars total, representing the 12 sons of Jacob. Let's go. Let's read it again. This is Exodus 24:4. And Moses wrote all the words of Ahai, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of YASHARAHLA. And he sent young men of the children of YASHARAHLA, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Ahayah. And Moses took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Will you highlight? Verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant, and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Ahai have said we will do, and be obedient. Will you highlight? Now, a covenant is being established. This covenant is in blood, the blood of bulls and oxen. And Moses took the blood of the oxen, put it in basins, sprinkled some on the altar, some on the book, and he's going to put some on the people. I'll read verse 7 again. This is Exodus 24:7. We're talking about the establishment of the old covenant and the new covenant, and who it's for, and it's established in blood. I'm reading. Let's go. Exodus 24:7. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Ahai have said we will do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Ahayah hath made with you concerning all these words. Will you highlight? Then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of YASHARAHLA, and they saw the Ahayah of YASHARAHLA, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were a body of heaven in his clearing. And upon the nobles of the children of YASHARAHLA he laid not his hand also. They saw Ahayah, and did eat and drink. Will you highlight? The Most High showed himself after the people cut a covenant with him. After Moses sprinkled blood of the covenant on the people and on the book, and said, this is the covenant, then the Most High power, our Most High power, AHAYAH'S, appeared not only unto Moses, appeared not only unto Aaron, but unto the 70 elders of YASHARAHLA. And they did eat and drink in his presence. Wow. I'll start reading verse 11 again. This is Exodus 24:11. And upon the nobles of the children of YASHARAHLA he laid not his hand. Also they saw Ahayah, and did eat and drink. And Ahayah said unto Moses, come up to me unto the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and the Torah law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach it them. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua and Moses went up into the mount of Ahayah. Will you highlight? Now, we have the book of the law being written by Moses, and we have the covenant of the words of the book of the law, which was the first covenant. He took the blood of bulls and oxen, put it in a basin, sprinkled some on the book, some of the blood on the book, some of the blood on the altar, and some of the blood on the people. Said, this is the covenant which Ahayah has adjourned unto you. And they said, we'll do every word that's found in this book. We'll do every word and be obedient. And after they have cut the covenant, the first covenant, with Ahayah, he came down amongst them, and they did eat drink in his presence. Wow. Now let's go to 1 Kings. I asked the question, children. Who was the covenant cut with? Was it just cut with Moses? No. Was it just cut with the 70 elders and Moses and Aaron? No. What about Moses and his minister Joshua? No. The covenant was cut not only with Moses, not only with the 70 elders, not only with Aaron, not only with his minister Joshua, but it was cut with all YASHARAHLA, all 12 tribes, represented by the 12 pillars of the altar that was created by Moses for this event. Wow. Let's fast forward to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 8. Start reading that verse. Let's start reading at verse 44. If thy people, this is 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 44. If thy people go out to battle against their enemy, wheresoever thou shalt send them, and shall pray unto Ahayah toward the city which thou hast chosen, toward the house that thou hast built for thy name, then hear thou in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not. What y'all like? This is in line. This is almost a direct retread from Romans chapter 6, verse 23. Now, all have sinned. It says right here, 1 Kings 8:46. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives into the land of the enemy, far or near, where you highlight. So the near and the far are carried away captives. We had a teaching on these channels a couple of weeks ago about the near and the far being brought back by the blood of Messiah and made one again. You got to be rescued out of captivity. Then you be put back in your own land, knit it back together, or graft it back together under one King Messiah. But I digress. Verse 47, 1 Kings 8:47. Yet, if they shall bethink themselves in the land whether they were carried captives, and repent, and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them away captive, saying, we have sinned. See, this is what has happened to us today. We are in the land of those who carried our ancestors away captive. We're still in our enemy's land to this day. All of us in the Western Hemisphere, every Hebrew in the Western Hemisphere, we didn't get here on our own volition. No, our foremothers and forefathers were brought here in the bottom of cargo slave ships for the sin of their foremothers and forefathers. We've been left here until the time that we bethink ourselves in the land of captivity. We come to our senses. 1 Kings 8:47. Yet, if they shall bethink themselves in the land whether they were carried captives, and repent, and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned, and have done perversely, we have committed wickedness. Hebrews, hear me. Even if you're involved in Christianity, Hebrews, hear me. Repent. Say you sin. Say you done wickedness. Say you've been perverse. And let's see what happens when you repent, Hebrew. Let's see what happens, child, when you turn from your wickedness unto your Most High power, unto your Alahayah. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 48. And so return unto thee with all their heart, with all their soul, in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto thee toward their land, which thou gavest unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause. And forgive thy people which have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them away captive, that they may have compassion on them. For they be thy people. Verse 51. And thy inheritance. Everybody ain't part of the inheritance. You got to be part of the people who are represented here by Solomon, who are represented by the temple, who are represented by the city of Jerusalem, who are represented by the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, represented by the people who were carried away captive because of their disobedience. You, child of Jacob, are the inheritance of the Father. You, child of Jacob, are his people. Let's continue. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 50. And forgive thy people which have sinned against thee, and all their transgressions, wherein they have transgressed against thee, and give them compassion before them who carried them away captives, that they may have compassion on them. For they be thy people, and thy inheritance, which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt, from the midst of the furnace of iron with your highlight, that thy eye may be open unto the supplication of thy servant, unto the supplication of thy people, YASHARAHLA. If there's ever was a doubt, now the doubt is done. The people of YASHARAHLA, the children of YASHARAHLA, are his people, are AHAYAH'S people. I'll read it again. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 52. That thy eye may be open unto the supplication of thy servant, and unto the supplication of thy people, YASHARAHLA, to hearken unto them in all that they call forth unto thee. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth. Let's just get it straight. I'm talking to you now, Christian. His people, AHAYAH'S people, the Most High's people, were separated from the other people of the earth. So, all the people of the earth are not the people of AHAYAH. All people are not his people. He separated a people unto himself. I'll read it again. I know this is a little hard for you. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 52. That thy eye may be open unto the supplication of thy servant, and unto the supplication of thy people, YASHARAHLA, to hearken unto them in all that they call for unto thee. For thou didst separate them from among all the people of the earth to be thy inheritance. I said it earlier, there it is again. As thou spoke by the hand of Moses, thy servant, when you brought our fathers out of Egypt, O sovereign Ahai. And it was so that when Solomon had made the end of praying all this prayer and supplication unto Ahai, he arose from before the altar of Ahai, from kneeling on his knees with his hands spread up to heaven. And he stood and blessed all the congregation of YASHARAHLA with a loud voice, saying, Blessed be Ahai, which has given rest unto his people, YASHARAHLA. Once again, who is his people? YASHARAHLA. According to all that he promised, that he have not failed one word of all his good promise, which he promised by the hand of Moses, his servant. Who was this promise to? His inheritance, his people, YASHARAHLA. The covenant was made with YASHARAHLA. The first covenant and the second. We're going to find that. We're going to see it clear. And now the promise of the covenant is given unto YASHARAHLA, his people. And not one word of the promise is going to fail. Not one word. Wow. Put in the comment section. Not one word of the covenant is going to fail. Not one word of the promise is going to fail. I'll read it again. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 56. Blessed be Ahai, which hath given rest unto his people, YASHARAHLA, according to all that he promised. There have not failed one word of all his good promise, which he promised by the hand of Moses his servant. Ahai be with us, as he was with our fathers. Let him not leave us nor forsake us. Did not the Messiah say, I'll never leave you nor forsake you? Here's the companion verse today. Wow. Okay, I'll keep reading. 1 Kings 8:57. AHAYAH'S be with us as he was with our fathers. Let him not leave us nor forsake us, that he might incline our hearts unto him to walk in all his ways and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, which he commanded our fathers. We highlight what he commanded the children of Jacob in the wilderness with Moses, the same things he's commanded them at the rededication of the temple under Solomon's kingship and rule. Wow. Same commandments. It's the same ones we're under today. Wow. Same ones. These are the laws of the covenant. They don't change. And not one word is going to fail. Did not the Messiah teach us that? Not one word of the law is going to fall. Not one jot or tittle of the law until all be fulfilled. All ain't been fulfilled yet. We just come around to repenting in our enemy's land. That started like 5 years ago, us turning back en masse to our Most High power in our enemy's lands. We still haven't been gathered from the four corners yet. But we're going to read about that in a minute. Turn, if you will, to Jeremiah chapter 31. Jeremiah 31. This is a big chapter, so we're going to read segments of it. You can read it all if you would like, but for the interest of time, we're going to read segments. We're going to start at verse 1, though. Jeremiah 31:1. At the same time, saith Ahai, I will be the Alahayah of all the families of YASHARAHLA, and they shall be my people. Whoa, how many times he going to have to say it? Christians, can you show me any scripture, anywhere, where he says, I am the Most High Power, I am the deity of the Christian? I'll wait. Jeremiah 31:2. Thus saith Ahai, the people which are left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even YASHARAHLA. When I went to cause him to rest. Will you highlight? Whoa. YASHARAHLA receiving grace? Yeah, the election of grace. Remember we read that a couple of weeks ago from the book of Romans. That the remnant received the election of grace. The remnant of who? The remnant of YASHARAHLA. He said, it's speaking of those who are left from the sword, the remnant. They received grace in the wilderness. He was extending grace to us way back then? What? I thought grace was opposed to law. No, grace and the law walk hand in hand. Let's read it again. Jeremiah 31:2. Thus saith Ahai, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness. Even YASHARAHLA, when I went to cause him to rest. Ahai hath appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Who do you love? Therefore, with loving kindness I have drawn thee. Again I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O virgin of YASHARAHLA. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and shalt go forth in the dances of them that make merry. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. So I told you the Samaritans were children of Jacob. The planter shall plant and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchman upon the mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, arise ye, and let us go to Zion unto Ahayah, our Alahayah. Will you highlight? Remember I pointed out in the first broadcast that the apostles were to be witnesses unto Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the earth. Here we have the watchman in Samaria, the watchman of Ephraim saying, let us go to Zion. Where is Zion? In Jerusalem. Jeremiah 31:6. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion, unto Ahayah our Ahayah. For thus saith Ahayah, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Ahayah, save thy people. The remnant of YASHARAHLA will you highlight. Back to Romans chapter 11, when it says that the remnant received the election of grace. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth. And remember, I told you we ain't been gathered yet. I just mentioned. I said we're going to see it, and we're seeing it right now. Jeremiah 31:8. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping and with supplication. I will lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in the straight way. Preach, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to YASHARAHLA, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Who's the Most High's firstborn? Ephraim. Hear the word of Ahayah, O ye nations, O you Gentiles. This is Jeremiah 31:10. Hear the word of Ahayah, O ye Gentiles, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered YASHARAHLA will gather him. This is what the Gentiles are told to say. This is what the heathen, the nations are told to say. He that scattered YASHARAHLA will gather him. Wow. Hear the word of Ahayah, O ye Gentiles, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered YASHARAHLA will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock, will you highlight. For Ahayah hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was strong, and he will you highlight. Christian, I got a question. Where you at? Where you at, Christian? Where you at? You weren't in the first covenant. We read it. That wasn't for you. You weren't at the rededication of the temple. When we were renewing pledging ourselves back to the covenant. No mention of you there. You're not here in the prophecy of the regathering and the salvation and the giving of grace to the remnant of YASHARAHLA. You're not in this. So Christian, where you at? We're going to get to the New Testament in a minute. But I felt compelled to ask you that question right here now. Where you at, Christian? Is this why you don't read the Old Testament? Even though the Apostle Paul, so-called, said the things written aforetime written for our learning, that we may have comfort in the scriptures and find hope. I don't see you finding any comfort here. But, maybe I don't know. Jeremiah 31:12. Therefore they shall come and sing in the heights of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Ahayah, for wheat and for wine and for oil and for the young of the flock and of the herd, and their soul shall be as a water garden, and they shall not sorrow anymore at all. They ain't talking about them imposters in the land right now. They whine every day. Then shall the virgin rejoice in a dance, both young men and old together, for I will turn their mourning into joy, and comfort them and make them rejoice from their sorrow. And I will satisfy the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Ahayah. Thus saith Ahayah, a voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children, because they were not. Thus saith Ahayah, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thy eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded, saith Ahayah, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. Will you highlight? Told you we're going to be gathered back from the land of our enemy. We're in the land of our enemy right now. And just like it said in 1 Kings chapter 8, that when we bethink ourselves in the land of our enemies, in the land of our captors, and repent and say we've done wickedness and perverseness, we were just no good, then the Most High will gather us. Talking about it here. I'll read it again. Jeremiah 31:16. Thus saith Ahayah, refrain thy voice from weeping, and thy eyes from tears, for thy work shall be rewarded, saith Ahayah, and they shall come again from the land of the enemy. For there is hope in thy end, saith Ahayah, that the children shall come again to their own border. Did I just say that the Apostle Paul, so-called, said that we can read these things that we might have hope? There is hope that we're coming back home to our own border. Preach! I have surely, verse 18, Jeremiah 31:18, I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself thus. Thou hast chastened me, and I was chastened as a bullock unaccustomed to the yoke. Turn thou me, and I shall be turned, for thou art Ahayah, my Ahayah. This is Ephraim, the firstborn, talking. Surely after that I was turned, I repented. This is Ephraim. And after that I was instructed. I smote upon my thigh, and was ashamed, yea, even confounded, because I did bear the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim a dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, saith I. Wow! Children of Ephraim, northern kingdom, the lost sheep of the house of YASHARAHLA. Most High gonna have mercy on you. Oh, praises. You're coming back. I read it again. Jeremiah 31:20. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For since I spake against him, I do earnestly remember him still. Therefore my bowels are troubled for him. I will surely have mercy upon him, saith I. Set thee up waymarks, make thee high heaps, set thy heart toward the highway, even the way which thou wentest. Turn again, O virgin of YASHARAHLA, turn again to thy cities. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Ahayah hath created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. For thus saith Ahayah of hosts, Ahayah of YASHARAHLA, as yet they shall use this speech in the land of Judah, and in the cities thereof, when they shall bring again their captivity. Ahayah, bless thee, O habitation of justice, and mountain of holiness. All praises. And there shall dwell in Judah itself, and in all the cities thereof together, husbandmen, and they that go forth with flocks. For I have satisfied the weary soul, and I have replenished upon every sorrowful soul. Upon this I awakened and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, saith Ahayah, that I will sow the house of YASHARAHLA and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to inflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, saith Ahayah. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten of a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth sour grapes, his teeth shall be set on edge. Verse 31. Behold, the days come, saith Ahayah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of YASHARAHLA and with the house of Judah. I ask again, Christians, where you at? This is the new covenant being made. Where you at, Christian? Who's the new covenant with? Let's read it again. Jeremiah 31:31. Behold, the days come, saith Ahayah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of YASHARAHLA and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, saith Ahayah. But this shall be the covenant I will make with the house of YASHARAHLA after those days, saith Ahayah. I will put my Torah law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. And I will be their Ahayah, and they shall be my people. Okay, Christian. if you have the new covenant, if the new covenant's for you, you should have the Most High's law written in your heart that you may do it. Remember back when I read in Exodus 24, when Moses read the covenant of the book of the law? He said, we will do all, the people of YASHARAHLA said, what? We will do all this and obey. Then he took the blood and sprinkled it on the book and on the altar and on the people and said, this is the covenant which is adjourned to you. Wow. Then AHAYAH came down and ate with him. Wow. Wow. I read verse 33 again. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with them, with the house of YASHARAHLA after those days, saith AHAYAH. I will put my Torah law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and I will be their AHAYAH, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know AHAYAH. For they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them, saith AHAYAH. For I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more. Thus saith AHAYAH, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and an ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea, which maketh waves thereof to roar. AHAYAH'S is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith AHAYAH, then the seed of YASHARAHLA also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. I got a question. Christians, I got a question. When you go outside at night, do you see stars? When you go outside at night, do you see us in the moon? It was a full moon last night. If you went outside, you would have saw it. And I'm Christian. If you go outside today, is the sun up? As long as you can see the sun, Christian. As long as you can see the moon at night, Christian. As long as you can see the stars, Christian. The children of YASHARAHLA are still AHAYAH'S people forever. Oh, praise, I'll read it one more time. Jeremiah 31:35. Thus saith AHAYAH, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. AHAYAH'S is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith AHAYAH, then the seed of YASHARAHLA also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith AHAYAH, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of YASHARAHLA for all they have done, saith AHAYAH. Time out, Christian. Have you got a good measure on the universe? Yeah. If heaven above can be measured, have y'all figured that out? I know y'all got NASA. Have y'all measured the universe? Y'all got a good whiff on that? I'm asking, Christian, because that's what it's going to take. If you can measure the universe, Christians, that's what it's going to take to replace us as his people. That's what it's going to take to get you a covenant. I'll read it again. Jeremiah 31:37. Thus saith AHAYAH, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of YASHARAHLA for all they have done, saith AHAYAH. Behold, the days come, saith AHAYAH, that the city shall be built to AHAYAH for a tower of Hananel, and the gate of the corner. If you searched out the foundations of the earth, you know them all. You've been all, everywhere. You got the whole thing mapped. Google Earth got it. No, it ain't done yet. You definitely measured the universe out. According to your philosophy and science, the universe is expanding at the speed of light in every direction. So you'll never measure it all. But if you could, then that's when You got his word right here. You got it in black and white. He will cut us off from being before him because of what we've done previously. But he said, part of the new covenant, he's going to forgive our iniquities and our sins no more. Now let's read the new covenant in the New Testament. Oh, praises. All right, well, I'm telling you, this is your last shot, Christians. This is your last shot. If the New Testament ain't talking about you having a covenant, being part of the new covenant, then I don't know what's going to help you. I'm going to ask you again, where you at? Let's go. Hebrews chapter 8, let's start reading at verse 1. Thank you for your patience. We've been here 40 minutes. Thank you for your patience. Now the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. This is a good summation. We're summing it up, children. We're in Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. Of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the master pitched, and not man. For every high priest is ordained to offer gifts and sacrifices, wherefore it is of necessity that this man have somewhat also to offer. For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that these are priests that offer according to the law. If Messiah was on earth, he ought not be a priest. He ain't a Levi. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 4 again. For if he were on earth, he should not be a priest, seeing that there are priests that offer gifts according to the law, who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things, as Moses was admonished of AHAYAH when he was about to make the tabernacle for see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shown thee in the mount. The Most High laid out the blueprints for him and said, do it just like I told you. Hebrews 8:6, but now have he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much more also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if the first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. Now, we're going to find out, was the covenant faulty, or was the people's application of the covenant faulty? Next verse, Hebrews 8:8, for finding fault with them. It didn't say finding fault with the first covenant, but finding fault with the people that the first covenant was to. They had to make a second. We read about the second covenant, didn't we? Already in Jeremiah chapter 31. Let's see if it's the same second new covenant. Let's see. Hebrews 8:8. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith AHAYAH, when I will make a new covenant with the house of YASHARAHLA and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith AHAYAH. For this is the covenant I will make with the house of YASHARAHLA after those days, saith AHAYAH. It sounds exactly like what he said in Jeremiah. We're in the book of Hebrews now. We're in the New Testament now. We're after Messiah. Messiah's at the right hand of the Father. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1 and 2 and 3 said he's at the right hand of the Father. If he was on earth, he wouldn't even be a priest, but he's a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Why? Because he's not here. He is not here. He's risen. So all your excuses, for lack of a better term, Christian, for all your excuses that you make, when you say, well, that was before the cross, that was before the resurrection. Now we're talking about something after the resurrection, after the cross, after the ascension, after he sat down at the right hand of the Father. He's waiting for his enemies to be made his footstool, And we're still talking about the covenant in the same language as we did prior to the cross, prior to his death, prior to his resurrection, prior to his ascension, prior to him being seated. The same language for the same people. Let's read it. Hebrews 8:8. For finding fault with them, he said, behold, the days come, saith Ahayah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of YASHARAHLA and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant which I made with their fathers in the day I took them by the hand to lead them out the land of Egypt. He letting you know who the house of YASHARAHLA and the house of Judah really are. They were the people that came out of Egypt with Moses. Ain't talking about no some spiritual peoples. No. He's talking about actual factuals. The descendants of the people who walked out with Moses. If you're not part of the seed line, for lack of a better term, if you're not a descendant of the people who walked out with Moses, who had a covenant adjourned to them under Moses, then the new covenant don't apply to you. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand. This is Hebrews chapter 8, verse 9. And led them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith Ahayah. For this is the covenant I will make with the house of YASHARAHLA after those days, saith Ahayah. I will put my law into their minds and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a Ahayah, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Ahayah, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. And I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities I will remember no more. There it is. The new covenant. The covenant that takes away our sin. The covenant that removes transgression and sin from Jacob. Wow, it's the new covenant in the blood of Messiah. I ask you, Christian, where's your new covenant? It's not found in the book. The only place it's found, dear Christian friend, is in the darkest recesses of your mind. All praises to the Most High, Ahayah, and to his son, Yahayasha, the mediator of the new covenant. Yada, Hayah.